Hello students, we are going to sand our epoxy pours. We did a pour for the mini cedar chest top, and then I kind of experimented with a cutting board, putting some metal flake. I wish I would have had a plan and just put the metal flake in the collar part, but we'll see how it comes out. We'll sand it here in a couple minutes. Before we go do that, I wanted to come over to our project. Let me get this thing on. We just got on the feet yesterday and our what we're calling cleats as well. These are the cleats. So we glued them and we bradded them. We bradded them so we wouldn't have to clamp them, the cleats at all. So we used our quick clamps for the side feet, and our goal was to get our miters, which is a new joint for us project-wise. We haven't had a miter before. Then I put this one to help me tighten the miter. Let's see what we get here. So, yeah, that's pretty darn tight, isn't it? This one's not quite as tight as the other one, but it's still pretty nice. We can also put some wood filler in there to hide that seam. Once we sand it, it might help hide it as well. So in our plan of procedure, it talks about finishing the project, which means all the sanding. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of glue here, okay? A lot of glue sanding. Wherever we glued on our project, we need to sand. I can see a drop of glue right there. We need to get all the chalk off of it, all the pencil lines. We need to fill all the defects, okay? So inside and out, we need to finish this. You're gonna wanna slightly sand all edges. We don't want any sharp edges. Right now they're machine sharp, right? Where we cut them with the machine. So we'll have to take it's mostly hand sanding from here, okay? You could probably use the orbital on the front of the feet, but other than that, you know, for edges, and sanding inside, it's mostly going to be hand sanding with a sheet of sandpaper, the block sandpaper. So, you know, wherever you can go ahead and use the orbital. Want to remind you, you know, we've got 3 grits of paper that we use. 150 is the roughest, only 150 particles per inch, right? Then 180, which is more particles per inch, so it's finer, and this is 220, which is the finest we use. They make a lot finer paper for different things, but 220 is our finishing sanding grit level. Okay, so there's 220 pieces or grits per inch, and that's what we finish with. Want to remind you on the orbital, you know, it's just a lefty-loosey to take the bag off. There's a lot of dust in there. It needs emptied, and then you fit it on and you rotate. Okay, so keep the bags clean of dust, and it'll suck up more and won't get so much in the air. And when you put on your disc, remember to line up the holes. If we don't have the holes lined up, the dust can't get into the bag, and it will just go into the air, and we'll have a cloud of dust in here, and that's not good to breathe. Okay, so 150, 180, 220, orbital where you can, hand sanding with a block of wood. And then we have our, before you sand, you're going to want to fill your holes with plastic wood and a putty knife, right? So we could fill a little bit on the seam there. We want to inspect the whole thing inside and out. There's a hole that we could fill. Cedar has a lot of defects, okay? So you're going to push that plastic wood filler into wherever you can, okay? Be careful in the corners though, because it's really tough to sand in corners, all right? There's a defect. I could probably get a little bit of wood filler in. Got to be careful on your routering profile too, because it's going to be hard to get that it dries rock hard, right? So it's going to be hard to get it out of that hole. Wanted to point out a couple things on the plastic wood. You got to make sure you get the right one, right? So these would not be good for cedar. I've got to go buy some cedar right now. I don't have any. It's a lot redder than walnut or natural, which is our lightest color of filler, and then red oak. But that red oak does not really match the red of a cedar, so we got to get some cedar in here. Wanted to point out on these guys, when you are closing these, you don't want to hit the top. You just want to push it in, okay? Or if you need a hammer to tap it, tap on the outside of it, not on the inside. When you tap on the inside, now it doesn't seal very well. Check this out. That's toast. It's no good. Okay, so the seal was ruined by hitting the middle of the lid, not going around the edge of the lid. But typically you can put it on there and just push it on with your hand and it will seal well. We don't want it all dented up. Okay, so that's plastic wood. I'll have the different colors for you. You may choose not to make your cedar chest out of cedar. Maybe you'll use oak or one of our other cherry, you know, one of our other hardwoods. That's going to be up to you. All right, I wanted to go sand our different pores here, and we'll just focus on the mini cedar chest since that's what we're doing, and I'll show you this one when it's done as well. Okay, but for time wise, we'll focus on this one. It's thicker, they're not the same size. Okay, so let's turn on our vent system. I should have this set 7/8 or 875, I think is what I got it at. Yep, let's see how we do. Don't want to go past 50, right? Doesn't look like it's hitting very hard. We'll take a full turn. We got to be careful as we get down to the wood because some of the details weren't cut very deep. Went a turn and a half. Let's see if I'm touching now. Just barely touching. So we'll go another full turn. I'm gonna have to get us a dust brush over here too. See if that hits. Now we're hitting. Okay. We're gonna grab a brush real quick. I think I've got one in the CNC router. Yes. We want to keep this clean so it doesn't collect in our machine. Another turn. Using the whole belt. Maybe a little aggressive. I'm seeing some chunks come off. We'll go a half a turn. Getting closer, aren't we? Yeah, we're getting close now. Just taking a quarter turn. This is a softwood. I'm hoping that our epoxy didn't get into the grain of the wood. We're going to keep that setting the same. Okay. Quarter turn. I don't want to lose any detail in our Bulldog. Again. That epoxy's really sticking. So I mixed the opaque with the translucent. My nose didn't come out black like I had hoped. That's all right. Experimenting, right?